Everyone, I just want to talk for just a brief few moments about the vagus nerve and parasympathetic nervous system. It really is so important to get to that next level of good health. And that is what I want to talk about and how we are helping people here at South Florida Integrative Health Center. So, we all have been hearing a lot about the vagus nerve and parasympathetic nervous system. Why is that so important about getting to that healthy level of optimal health? Why? And that is because we've always talked about stress being a cause of aging, a cause of oxidation, inflammation. We always knew stress was something more dangerous, more toxic than even toxins themselves. But now we know so much more. And we see, because of the microbiome, the whole studying of the gut, it's not just leaky gut, but that balance of the gut bacteria and how that relates to our brain and the idea of sleeping that nourishes and rejuvenates and kind of brings everything together while we're in these deep levels of sleep. It really is the time of the immune system of our brain to do its best healing capabilities is during these certain hours of the night. And yes, we've been studying in the research, why are there certain hours of the early morning hours that are so important for melatonin and for these deeper levels of sleep. And when we look at integrative medicine and we do a lot with working with acupuncture, we feel it's so important because when you put together functional medicine and acupuncture, you're putting together the underlying causes, which of course acupuncture is always looking for these underlying causes. But you see in functional medicine, our underlying causes are much more, well, let's say Western, looking at the organ and the systems as a whole, because we are very holistic. But when we see a liver detoxification issue, when we see a methylation issue, we're going to really work on the physicality of that, like the B activated B vitamins or the beta glucuronidation. That's just another way of saying that we're looking into certain ways that we could help certain physical things like methylation, detoxification, the mitochondria. But when you add in the acupuncture, now you're going to add in this energetic level of the human being, because we are mind, body, and this energy. We can't deny that. Some people, they might want to call it soul or spirit, but there's this energy. We could see it even in the, can we really see it, energy? But when we look at the mitochondria, and I look at ATP, which are really like this electron transport chain, I mean, that is energy. It's food, the physicality. And the way our mitochondria is going to transform it into energy. But before we get really way out there, and I want to get back to our next appointments that are coming in, just want to bring up what we're doing with vagus nerve, parasympathetic, and optimal levels of health. Hey, thanks for joining, everyone. Appreciate you all listening in. So one of which, what we're putting together is the vagus nerve. We're using vagus nerve stimulation, and I found through the research certain vagus nerve stimulators that we used in the clinical studies. It's all based on the frequencies, the megahertz, and it's really important because a lot of the vagus nerve stimulators, it goes back many years. There were different models out there. But what's important is if they were FDA approved, because that shows they were used in the clinical studies. They become less expensive. I'm holding one in my hands right now. Hey, everybody. I see there are some comments. The vagus nerve stimulation. Vagus nerve stimulation can occur in many different ways. It's our parasympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight versus our rest and digest. When you're in fight or flight, you can take a look at a cat's eyes. You see how dilated their pupils are. You see what happens with the lungs when our sympathetic nervous system, because we need to breathe if we're running away. And we need our arteries to dilate. and we don't need to, we need our for to certain veins or arteries to actually constrict depending on what we need to do. So we've learned in conventional regular medicine, parasympathetic nervous system was our rest and digest, but we didn't realize so much of what's involved with that vagus nerve and the gut brain connection, and and how much more the parasympathetic nervous system is involved. Because if we knew, when we were talking about anticholinergic medications and how the cholinergic nervous system, system in our bodies, and the fact that when we take anticholinergic medications, some of which we take are very familiar with. We might take it's over the counter, something like Benadryl. It's anticholinergic. It means it has these properties that we see in the research can correlate with Alzheimer's. Anticholinergic medications, something like benzodiazepines. So we don't want that. And we are looking for ways to increase this parasympathetic nervous system because we're so much in stress, fight or flight. So we use these vagus nerve stimulators. We use heart math, which is this coherence, getting our sympathetic nervous system to jive with our parasympathetic nervous system. It's called coherence. It's a form of deep breathing and visualization and gratitude and focusing on certain areas of the body like the heart and having biofeedback. You have a device that you place on your ear and you actually could use your cell phone to kind of have a biofeedback of how you are in that parasympathetic sympathetic mode. In other words, we can't just be always in one mode or the other. But many of us are really only in sympathetic mode if you think about it from morning to night. And we do studies on that. We check easy tests through the saliva, melatonin and cortisol, where you could see that balance throughout the day. They work opposite each other. They work with each other in many ways. That's why it's important to get up in the morning when you have that cortisol level and work with a little sunshine in the eyes, because there are melatonin receptors in the eyes. And you get that bright sun and it kind of stimulates those receptors in the very early morning hours. It's all connected. And that's why we are so very holistic. And that's why we have this integrative center where we are integrating these different modalities, which is acupuncture, because we want to talk about the energy level of a person. And acupuncture can really work on that with the different meridians. And you get to really, really work together on bringing together the hot and cold constitutions that acupuncture is looking into, the damp or dry, or the different elements like wood or metal or air, fire. That's all very important in a very subtle way. I look around the office, and my office has a lot of mahogany wood, which I love. I didn't realize in the Chinese, I kind of knew because I studied this in acupressure, and that's why I love to have an acupuncturist to work side by side, because they really know it really well. But I realize I like to have that element around me, but we always want balance. Well, this was going to be a short Instagram live, but I love giving information out there. We want to be so very helpful. So the bottom line is, if you're in South Florida, we're using acupuncture and functional medicine, where you got me as a integrative and functional medicine specialist. I've been doing this for many, many years, and you have an acupuncturist also for many, many years. You put the two together, focused on the individual, unique person, and now you got real integrative medicine and real true healing. So reach out to us here at South Florida Integrative Health Center. We'll make some openings where we could do this acupuncture and functional medicine work together, and we'll bring the acupuncturist on an Instagram and briefly talk about what we're doing together. But we're working on the vagus nerve. That's our real focus, because I've been focused on that. And I went back into with the acupuncturist into the literature and into where the vagus nerve and parasympathetic nervous system, which is physical. We could see the vagus nerve. So when we're looking at acupuncture, there is going to be a connection, and we found it. And so we on the side of functional medicine, we work on vagus nerve stimulation, healing the gut, working on that vagus nerve gut brain connection. So we work with neurotransmitters and, of course, heavy metals or toxins. But then you got the acupuncture and helping that element of what is the best, where do they fit in with their environment? That's where these Eastern medicines really shine, is because it puts everything in with the environment and our world around us. Hot, cold, dry, damp, and of course wood, fire, air, earth. We all have that mixture, but it's wonderful to put it all together. So let us know. We are here to help. Of course, acupuncture, you got to come in to our center here. We are in Miami Beach, where we are doing this acupuncture and functional medicine together, working especially now on that parasympathetic vagus nerve, because I'm focusing on that, because I know that I can truly heal the gut if I can get that energy level, that whole acupuncture, fixing that vagus, working together on that vagus nerve parasympathetic system. I have that acupuncturist working with me on that same patient that we're discussing and working on where their strengths and weaknesses, where we need to work on. I know about the gut because I've been testing their gut, the different bacteria, whether they have certain pancreatic enzymes. All these things are important, and how their immune system of the gut is, are there food sensitivities, are there neurotransmitters in balance, or do we need to help that with methylation and detoxification? At the same time, acupuncture is going to help this whole other which is an energy level, because we can't deny, and those of you that are watching, I'm not ignoring you. I just want to get the information out there. You can give me a wave. I know you're here. Thank you very much. You can show some support by liking the page or sharing it, and or giving us a call at the center if you're in the area, because it's something not to miss out on. It's very rare to be getting one of the best acupuncturists and someone who's really dedicated their life to functional and integrative medicine, to be working, especially when we're on the cutting edge of vagus nerve and parasympathetic nervous system balance, because we know, or I've seen in functional medicine, because I've been healing the gut for many years, but now we see, and I think we're all learning out there, that stress is the number one really destructive element we have. And why is that? And that's because it's driving so many of these, so it drives inflammation, it drives adrenaline and norepinephrines and cortisol, and it doesn't allow for that rest and digest. And there's also this energy level that we can't deny, and that's where melatonin and serotonin, we see that comes together in this whole picture. But you see, melatonin and serotonin, tryptophan, that is physical. That is, so to speak, functional integrative Western medicine, because you could see the pineal gland, which is the gland that secretes melatonin. But melatonin is responsible for our dream state. And dreams, as we all know out there, those of you watching today, dreams are not so physical. So there's the connection with melatonin, the pineal gland, vagus nerve, acupuncture, and functional medicine. Well, I didn't expect to get to all of that in this Instagram Live, but stay tuned. We'll be doing more. I'll bring the acupuncturist on board, but we are focused on helping people. Making the videos are important because we want to get the information out there. It's important to help people. So we'll get the acupuncturist to help discuss what he does, and to bring together the vagus nerve, parasympathetic, and healing the whole person. All right, everyone, have a wonderful, healthy day.